Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm, of course, your host, Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a good Friday or whenever you happen to be watching this. Um, Here in Edmonton, it is a blustery minus 40 degrees. Yes, 40 degrees Celsius, minus 50 with the wind chill. So wherever you are, if it's cool, I hope you're keeping warm. If it's warm, I hope you're keeping cool. And above all else, that you're looking after yourselves and one another. I have with me a very special friend, Mr. Bill Schuster. How you doing, Bill?
Hi, Armando. Doing well. We're getting ready to get some cold here, but not near what you're dealing with. We're supposed to get some snow and get down in below zero temps, but definitely not minus 40. I think when I was a kid in Alaska, that's when they finally canceled school. It's all right, you guys can't walk to school in this stuff. But
Yeah.
I remember it well and I don't miss it.
Yeah, no, I can do without it. Definitely, I can do without it. We woke up to this morning and it was just like we've been dealing with it for a week and I'm done. I'm done with it. I don't want it anymore.
Bring
So
on some.
bring on anything but this. Okay, like spring, summer, whatever. So yeah, definitely, definitely. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a fun show today. This is an idea that Bill came up with. And so this is a Schuster Venditti co presentation and production. All right. But I give all the credit to Bill on this one. We are going to give you our top five albums from the years 1970 to 1979. Now, before you freak out and think, oh my God, this is going to be like another, lengthy video, 9 hours. No, we're going to break this up. We're going to do each year for one video for each year. So we're going to start with 1970. So we've each picked five albums and two honorable mentions. The honorable mentions was my idea. So I figured if Bill's going to give me all the work to do to find these five albums for these 10 years, basically, I'm going to give him some work to do as well, right? Tit for tat. So,
And you did. I had to go back and redo. Yeah, go look through every year again to get my honorable mentions and suffer the same agony of I have to still leave these out. Yes,
you're welcome.
binge.
You're welcome. I heard that. Okay. You're welcome. No problem. Anytime. Anytime. So, ladies and gentlemen, just a bit of a spoiler. If this series is as fun as I think it's going to be, we are going to possibly continue it with top five albums from the 80s and from the 90s. The 70s was a hard uh, decade to pick from. A lot of albums that came out between 70 and 79. I remember watching a documentary, and Jimmy Page had said that the 70s for him was just the best time for music in terms of the different styles, the melding of musical styles, and just it was like a sphere of wonder in terms of what was out there, in terms of what was produced in music. So again, we've each got five albums and two honorable mentions. So I'm going to pass the baton or the mic over to Bill so he could start because I was brought up right by my mama. Okay, so over to Bill.
All right, thank you, Armando. Yeah, this I agree with what Jimmy Page said. Yeah, even though I'm an '80s teen and I love the '80s, that's the decade I'm supposed to be really nostalgic about. If I try to be even remotely objective, the '70s is far and away the best, most creative, explosive decade for so many music styles. So yeah, this was pretty tough. Uh, but we had to do it. We had to make lots of hard choices and leave many favorites out. One
Damn
thing I
right.
noticed when I already went ahead and did my '80s list just for fun for whenever we get around to that, and I noticed as much as I love the '80s, I could probably ignore every pick we made for these years in the '70s and fill the list again with albums that didn't make the cut this time, and that list of also rans would be still better than my '80s list overall. That's how big the '70s were.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You had just quickly before we get into it, you had such an eclectic bag of of genres musical styles, and just it was amazing, amazing. So yeah, yeah, rightfully so.
60s seeds and the 70s they sprouted and spread. Yeah.
Hmm. It started in the late 60s, but I think it exploded in the 70s. It was just nothing was off the table,
No.
right? Um, so yeah, yeah, no, it's a good,
Oh,
it was a good topic to pick and a good avenue to go down. And we are going to start, ladies and gentlemen. So I give the mic back to Mr. Bill Schuster.
all right. I'm a little short on props here. A lot of these were ones that I have not yet replaced on the proper media. So my props are hit and miss tonight. I do not have a prop for my number five, and my number five is the third album from those guys, King Crimson. And that
Ah,
album, Lizard. I'm a latecomer to Lizard. For some reason, I ignored it for the longest time, but once I finally discovered it, I was pretty wowed. It's just such a strange album. It's an oddball in their catalog. It sounds like nothing else, and I really wish that lineup would have done another one. Um,
yeah, yeah, definitely.
it's a lot of people talk about the John Anderson guest appearance, which is nice, but it's short. It's That's not exactly the main feature of the album. The whole album is just really cool. Happy Family is such a bizarre song, and just
Hmm.
everything. There's This album doesn't really have a category.
Oh, that's right. I have it actually. Yeah, I I forgot
It
that.
has,
But you know what? That's good. We're not going to match on these lists at all, right? So
oh no, that's going to be half the fun. We're each going to be, yeah, we'll have some crossover, but there will be plenty that we'll surprise each other with. That's going to
yeah,
be part of the
yeah.
fun.
No, it's true. It's true.
So yeah, Lizard, a little weird one off in the King Crimson catalog, well worthy of your time if you have not explored it.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Well, out of my list of five, ladies and gentlemen, I really didn't label like number them. I just, was basically going off the top of my head, and I did cheat, guys. I used a list off of the internet. Sue me. All right. So my number five, I would say, is Miles Davis with Bitches Brew. Uh, double album, the artwork. There you go. There you go.
I
Yeah.
don't know if you can see
The
that.
artwork alone, I mean, just surprised the shit out of people. Um, with songs like Pharaoh's Dance and, uh, Miles Chasing the Voodoo Down, John McLaughlin, Sanctuary, all these songs. I mean, and the stellar musicians that you had on this release. Um, I said on a previous episode that um, he literally Miles Davis just wanted to get out of what he was doing and just go in a totally different direction, go electric, at the urging of Clive Davis, who was at Columbia at the time. Just an explosive album at times, and I was going to say, very mellow album at times. To a coffee say, guys, I'm still fucking up. So there you go. And I've got chamomile tea here. But just a beautiful mix of styles, and the musicianship on this album is just stellar. You've got John McLaughlin, Herbie Hancock, Jack DeJournette, I believe on some of the tracks, just amazing. So yeah, it's my number five, Bitches Brew.
It's hard to argue against Miles. Yeah, that's a great album.
Mm, you can try, but you can't to argue.
Yeah.
So, okay, you're number four.
All right, there was the only change that I made to my list was this one today when I realized that somehow I had forgotten this when I went through and I just changed this about an hour ago. Other than that, my list has completely stayed the same despite my wanting to change things. So this one got shuffled in. There are two covers to it. Rare Bird as Your Mind Flies By. This was, I believe, the European cover, and this one is the North American cover. It might just be the US cover. I'm not positive on that, but
Okay.
this is an outstanding album. It's with this original lineup, they were a two keyboard, bass, drums, vocal band, no guitar. And wow, these guys should be much better known than they are. They had a somewhat of a hit with Sympathy from their first album, which Marillion did a cover of many years later. Um, but yeah, if you are remotely into early progressive rock type stuff, absolutely check out those first couple of Rare Bird albums. This one has an epic called Flight that takes up all of side two. And if you think you'll be missing the guitar, no, you won't. It's unnecessary.
Okay.
Dave Cathanelli, incidentally, one of the keyboard players, went on to appear in a little movie called This Is Spinal Tap, just for you trivia buffs.
Okay. All
So,
right.
yeah. Number
Amazon,
four,
here
Rare
I
Bird.
come.
Oh, have you not heard the Rare Bird albums?
I have not heard them. No, this
Oh,
is
wow.
something I've never heard
Yeah, we'll
before, but
talk
that's
later
great.
about that.
That's great. You're educating me, okay, in terms of music, right?
That's, yeah.
Um, no, that's good. I'm after when we at the end of the show, I'll talk to you about where I can find them. Um, okay, well, let me see here. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. All right. My number four is the Beatles with Let It Be. I've said before that I've always been a fan. There you go. Thank you for the props. Thank you very much. I have always said that I was always a fan of the later Beatles stuff, the more intricate, um, complex arrangements and musicianship of the albums. You know, like from Rubber Soul on. Let It Be for me is a fantastic album, even though okay, produced by Phil Spector. Um, it it came out the year that they broke up, and you know, obviously in '70 with songs like Two of Us, uh, Across the Universe, I Mean Mine, I Dig a Pony, The Long and Winding Road. Um, it it just seems that on this album, you can tell that they were at the end of their rope, that they'd been through the fire together with the conflicts, and they resigned themselves to the fact that it's over, it's done. Um, Even on the song, Two of Us, the lead off track, right? Um, it just seems like that John Lennon and Paul McCartney know that this is the end. We're done. We can't do anymore. The production on it is fantastic. I did try and watch the documentary that came out from Peter Jackson. I just got tired of them starting and stopping doing takes. Oh, let's try this again. 50 takes of Let It Be. What? No, I can't. It's like bashing my head on the top of my computer. I can't do it. So, but it's a fantastic album. So yeah, that's my number four.
I still haven't watched the third part of Get Back. I have watched the first two, and I found it was really cool in chunks. Best not to take it all in one epic.
Marathon.
Peter Jackson likes his epic length movies, but yeah, it's really cool to if you're interested in that period of the band or just the band at all and their inner dynamics. It was pretty awesome insight and into
Yeah.
this album in particular. So yeah, great. I love the Beatles, but spoiler alert and confession, I'll do my penance now. Let It Be did not make my list, and as a Beatles fan, I'm probably going to be excommunicated from the Beatles church.
Well, you still
So
have me. So I mean,
hey, my own parents might kick me out. I don't know.
well, I can't do anything about that, but no, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
All
Um,
right. Still a great album. I still love it. But
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I agree. Number three.
number three, this is one we just talked about last week on our Black Sabbath ranking. And this is, in fact, the debut Black Sabbath album, essentially the birth of heavy metal. I don't know how much more I could say than what we said about it last week. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, this is where it all started. This is ground zero. This is everything started here when it comes to metal. People can make earlier claims, but I disagree. This was the blueprint, and it's really a perfect album. So yeah, Black Sabbath, the debut, number three.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah, that was a mammoth show that we did last week. And ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank everybody for watching and continue to watch. Because it's a long episode.
Yes,
It's a long episode. So yeah, no,
I
and
think
good
Peter
album.
Jackson, did he direct that episode?
He was out to lunch. I don't think he came back for the rest of the show. He started it, but he lost interest. Um, my number three, sweet Jesus, is Black Sabbath Paranoid. Um, it was released in 1970 in the UK, released, I believe, in 71 in the US. I'm going with the UK release. Um, what else can be said? The original album title was going to be War Pigs. But Joe Smith at Warner Brothers said, you know what? No way in hell are we doing this. We are not naming an album War Pigs due to the political unrest in the US at the time, the Vietnam War. So they settled on Paranoid, a track that I've said before that was written at the very last minute as a filler. Seven tracks on the album. And I've said before, to me, this is where Black Sabbath sort of, I mean, as successful as the debut was, this is the album that they took off on. You know what I mean? It was their launching pad. War Pigs, Paranoid, Planet Caravan, Hand of Doom, Electric Funeral, Fairies Wear Boots, Rad Salad, all these tracks, they are still FM radio staples today. And it's a good, heavy hitting album, you know. Is it overplayed? Yeah, it is. Very much so. But that's my number three, and I'm sticking to it. Yeah, so
That's a good choice, and I think we're going to see a number of overplayed albums here, and there are reasons for that.
yeah.
Um, my number two, I'm sticking with what I originally have, but my brain's telling me I should almost switch it with my number one, but I'm not going to do it. Uh, this guy on my shirt here,
Tumbleweed Connection. Uh-huh.
yeah. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. I love this album. It is wow. It kind of I'm still second guessing myself that I put it at number two instead of number one. And
Go with your heart.
Burn Down the Mission and Where to St. Peter, those two alone are just almost enough to elevate it to the top. Yeah, this whole album is great. This is before the superstardom set in. I really love these early years here.
Yeah.
Elton and Bernie were finding their feet as songwriters, and the full band hadn't settled into place yet. Davy Johnston hadn't entered the picture yet.
Yeah.
Nothing against Davy because I have a lot of love for him too, but there were a lot of interesting players on these early albums that brought something different to the table.
Caleb, is it Caleb Quayle?
Yes, Caleb
Quayle?
Quaid. Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's on the album. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. My poor sleeve is falling apart. This thing has seen better days.
Oh, I know. I know. I've got the CD. It's a good album. It's a really good album. It's considered their country album.
Yeah, uh, yeah. I think there's some truth to that. If all country sounded like this, I'd listen to a lot more of it.
There you go. That's a hell of a plug right there. Uh,
Yeah.
no, that's good. That's a good choice. Yeah, that album is sort of seen as like an underdog kind of an album, right? Um, and on my version of the disc, I've got, or on the CD, I think you've got it too. There's an 8 minute version of Madman Across the Water on it.
Yep. 8 minutes, 51 seconds, the original
Yep.
with Mick Ronson.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I tend to forget that's on here because typically I listen to the record these days and not my CDs just kind of sitting looking pretty on the shelf right now.
Yeah. No, I got you. I got you. There was a lot of cross-pollinating, I call it, in terms of musicians guesting on, friends' albums and stuff. And Trident Studios at the time was a hotbed for like people going in there and just recording and just doing whatever they could, right? If they could get studio time. So that's a good choice. That's a good choice. Um, let's see here. My number two is Santana with Abraxas. Everyone knows the iconic cover, the painting and the artwork. Um, this is where, I mean, again, as good as the debut was, the self-titled, this is where they took off. With songs like Oye Como Va, Samba Parti, sorry, which is a fantastic mellow track. Beautiful. Starts off with Singing Winds, Crying Beasts, just beautiful. You know, um, and the incident at Neshaber, just fantastic. Black Magic Woman, Gypsy Queen. I'm like, come on. I mean, this album is fantastic. This is the original lineup featuring Greg Raleigh and Neil Sean would come in 1972, but around that time. But yeah, it's a classic album, and it's a classic for a reason. So yeah, that's my number two.
That one I do have a prop for, but it's buried back behind me and difficult to get to. It did not make my list, but it was very close. That's a great
Okay.
and that cover, yeah, that is a great cover, and it fits in well with the Bitches Brew cover. They're very similar and very
Yeah.
basically those covers both deserve to be full size posters hanging on someone's wall.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Beautiful.
Definitely.
And yeah, I was thinking earlier about Greg Raleigh. I wonder how many people, casual listeners, don't make the connection that the voice of those early Santana songs, so many of them, is also the voice of so many of those early Journey songs.
Yeah, Greg Raleigh, for those of you who don't know, for the few of you who don't know, was in the original lineup of Santana, played at Woodstock. They played at Woodstock prior to being signed to Columbia Records. Um, and he, uh, he and Neil Sean were in the band until after Santana 3, when there was a famous fight between Greg Raleigh and Carlos Santana. One of them got dunked in a hotel swimming pool when they didn't want to be dunked, and a fight ensued, and they broke up. And then subsequently, Neil Sean and Greg Raleigh would go on to form Journey, and the rest is history.
I
So
think it
yeah,
worked
no,
out
but
the best for all parties.
yeah, yeah. So we are at our number one. Are we not
All right.
for our list of five? My number one is Led Zeppelin 3. Uh, the lowest selling album for Zeppelin at the time, coming off the high of Zeppelin 2 with Whole Lotta Love and Moby Dick and What Is and What Should Never Be, the Lemon Song, thank you. This album was considered to be a bit of a disappointment because it was mostly acoustic. Uh, People at the time labeled, or the media labeled Led Zeppelin heavy metal, but as Eddie Van Halen pointed out in an interview, a third of Zeppelin's catalog was acoustic based. So, I mean, this album, it starts off with the Immigrant Song. um, Friends, Celebration Day, the fantastic blues track Since I've Been Loving You, Gallows Pole starts off side two, which is my favorite, one of my favorite tracks on the album. Um, that's the way, you know, beautiful song. Out on the Tiles, Hats Off to Roy Harper. All of these tracks are just bloody classics. I mean, this is another one of those albums that I don't skip any tracks when I listen to it. Um, and I, it's on this list for a reason. It's a good album. It's a classic album. It's a good album. Um, Fan bloody tastic. And again, if you want to hear, I guess, the definitive version of Since I've Been Loving You guys, check out The Song Remains the Same, the concert movie. Um, to me, that is the definitive version of it. Um, yeah, that's my number one for our first list. Um,
All right.
so we'll give you two honorable mentions. Sorry.
I still have to do my number one.
Oh, I don't know what's in my tea, guys. Okay. So I think Bob slipped me some herb. All right. Okay, there we go. Off to number one. Sorry.
That's right. It's number one won't take long because you've already discussed it. It is Black Sabbath Paranoid. That's yeah, as much as the debut was the birth of heavy metal, this was the refining and the definition of heavy metal. This
Yeah.
is the one that so many bands go back to. And yeah, it has a well-deserved reputation. It is a perfect album. There's nothing remotely skippable on this thing to me. And even though I was talking about after doing that Black Sabbath album ranking last week, I said I won't want to listen to Sabbath again for a year.
Yeah.
Iron Man things came on my shuffle last night at work, and I absolutely loved it. One of the most played out songs in their catalog, and I enjoyed every second of it. So
Hmm.
I was wrong. This
Hmm.
this thing stands. It stands up. I never want to turn it off. Apparently, even when I'm burnt out, I'm listening to them. So
Okay.
yeah, that's my number one. Paranoid.
Okay. And my apologies, Bill. I'm sorry I skipped.
That's
I'm so sorry. All right.
it. Happens. We keep going back and forth, and yeah,
Yeah. No,
that's all right.
I
It's
swear
casual.
Bob slipped me some herb in the tea. I don't know. I mean, thank you,
I
Bob.
think people know by now, if anybody that watches these videos, that we're having fun here. We're not trying to market this or make a living off of this or anything. Or
Exactly.
this is a couple of friends getting together, talking about music, and hopefully some people want to come along for the ride. And
Exactly. Exactly. And yeah, no, no, it's true. It's true. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our two honorable mentions. I will give you my two, and then Bill will give you his two. This was a hard one to kind of like put into the honorable mentions category. First one is Pink Floyd with Adam Hartmother. You know, famous cover with the cow on the front. Lord knows what that was all about. Good album. Side one has the Adam Hartmother suite. Um, Side two with songs like Summer of '68. Um, If Ellen Psychedelic Breakfast. I do like side one better than side two. David Gilmour might think that this is a crap album, or the suite itself is a crap side, but I think that it deserves an honorable mention. Um, and my second one for honorable mention is The Guess Who with American Woman. Um, Fantastic release from 1970 through RCA. Um, American Woman, staple on classic FM radio in Canada and in the US. So, songs like the title track, No Time, uh, The New Mother Nature, No Sugar Tonight, Talisman, fantastic um, acoustic number. Um, and it closes off with American Woman epilogue, like a continue, the conclusion of American Woman at the end. Good album, good vocals from Burton Cummings. I think this is when he really rocked out when he was in the Guess Who. You know what I mean? But really good album. Um, that's the difficulty, guys, of putting these lists together is trying to come up with albums that are in your top, but you have to also give it honorable mention to a couple of them, and it's hard to put them together. I mean, how was it for you with the honorable mentions?
Um, I think it was just as hard as it was to do the original five because I still had so many left out for every year that I really wanted to fit in. And you have to make those cuts. This is it. You only have so many. So yeah, there was not really an easy year in this.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. No, I
All right.
agree. What are your two honorable mentions there?
Well, you've already mentioned one. Actually, you mentioned them both. Pink Floyd, Adam Hart, Mother. I'm right there with you. I so wanted to put that in the top five. It was close. I could have easily switched it out with Lizard. That could have gone either way. Um, and your number one, Led Zeppelin 3, is in my honorable mentions. Yeah, brilliant, eclectic album. That's the album where they really started getting more interesting and super creative
Mm-hmm.
and more original, less just aping the old blues songs and amping them up and things. Yeah, they really became Led Zeppelin that on that album, I think.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
we did have actually a fair amount of crossover, and we
Yeah.
left off a lot of total classic 1970 albums. But hey, that's the point of this.
Well, I mean, again, yeah. I mean, if we were to have done the top 10, everything probably would have been included. But I mean, to do a top five, I think it's basically the cream of the crop made the cut. You know what I mean? In terms of what we think are the cream of the crop. So,
Yeah, yeah. That thing, what we think is the key. That's definitely. I'm not
yeah.
even going to pretend this is any
And
sort of objective greatest ever list. This is strictly
yeah,
I love
and
that album.
yes, and I'm gonna add to that, ladies and gentlemen, this is just our opinion. We are not music experts by any stretch of the imagination. We never pretended to be or pretend to be. So we are just giving you some ideas to go listen to. You can stream all these albums on YouTube, and to possibly discover some new stuff that you never heard before. You know what I mean? And again, don't take our word for it. Go listen to it yourself and let us know what you think. So, as I believed I mentioned at the top of the show, this is going to be a series. So we are going to leave you for now with top five albums of 1970. We'll be back in a few minutes with albums from top five albums from 1971. This is going to go from 1970 to 1979. So for Mr. Bill Schuster, I am Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a good day. Please look after yourselves. Again, if you are in an area that is minus 30 or below, stay inside if you can. Keep warm. Get that hot cocoa going and look after yourselves and one another. And we will see you soon with another video. Bye for now.